Hey, 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 it's Friday night. It's John and Ed. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I survived another week in Clown World.
Well, there you go. Do you not think time's going awful quickly just now?
Yeah, I've been saying that to people. It's just like we're approaching Christmas 2024, and it was like Christmas 2023 was just 2 weeks ago.
I know, it's weird. It's like Halloween was just yesterday.
Mm.
No, hold on. Halloween was
But
just...
no, Halloween was yesterday. Stop trying to fucking confuse me. Jesus. Lucky I even got up. I set an alarm and I closed my eyes for 40 winks, and I was out. If I hadn't set the alarm, I wouldn't be here. I'd still be in the land of Nod.
Oh my God. I am... I haven't slept. I had a terrible night. I couldn't sleep at all. Spent most of it watching shitty YouTube stuff.
It's probably because we were talking about ghost stories and serial murderers and stuff last night.
Such is
Uh,
life. Anyway, right. So, it's been a shitty week. Um,
what, can you point to me at a week in 2024 that hasn't been a giant pile of dookie?
no, I don't think I can. Yeah, but in some respects, this one's been more shittier than some. I don't know, has it? Where are we? Yeah, right. So, what did you think of Trump takes out the trash? He's
I thought
stunt. I thought it was inspired.
absolutely inspired bit of marketing. Take Biden's demented, stupid comment.
Yeah,
Um, And I mean, Biden seems to be actively trying to make Kamala lose the freaking race.
he,
I don't think he likes her very much.
he doesn't.
But I
Boy, he
mean,
doesn't. Nobody likes Kamala. That's the problem. That's why
um,
she was first out of the presidential race the last time.
yeah.
You know, because nobody likes her. Not even the Democrats like her. So how the fuck she's running for president, I really don't know. I just can't get my head around it.
Well, she's running for president because the other side is they're so shit scared of Trump for some unknown reason. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do in his second term that he didn't do in his first term, apart from hopefully hire better people. But I mean, at least at least Trump can do a 3 hour interview with Rogan. I
Mm.
mean, Kamala would be lucky to manage 20 minutes or half an hour before she was exposed to someone who's just got no clue.
Well, I haven't listened to Joe, but he did say that he did put a video out saying this is why I haven't had a podcast with Kamala because she just had too many demands.
Mm.
And I can imagine what they are. Have an auto cue.
Well, she wants them to be able to edit it afterwards so that they can
Oh yeah,
chop and change the rubbish that comes out of her mouth and actually make it sound like she knows what she's talking about, which she fucking doesn't.
yeah.
I mean, she's a front. It's they're not. Neither of them is particularly good choice, but I mean, of the two, Kamala is the worst. If you put a gun to my head and said I had to vote for one of them, I choose Trump just because
Yeah,
at least he can do a 3 hour interview with Rogan.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, and he seems to still have his faculties about him. What you were saying earlier about what, just 2 minutes ago about what Biden said, you see what the White House have done here?
Yeah, no, it's yeah. There's a they've basically changed his words to try and make it out like he didn't refer to
That,
50% of Americans as garbage.
but that's against the law.
Oh, rules-based international order, bitch, don't you know?
Well, that's me spanked.
But I mean, this is why Trump turning up in a garbage truck was such just a genius bit of self-promotion and marketing. I
I was
mean,
on
it was
the
even
sorry.
better than working at McDonald's.
I was on the Bakers yesterday buying a roll, and yeah, I know I need to lose weight, so I need to stop buying rolls. But I was on the Bakers yesterday buying a roll, and I had a tenner in my hand, okay, and I'd ordered the stuff, and I went to put something in my pocket, And then I went to pay, and the tenner wasn't there anymore. Right, and I'm looking around for the tenner. I'm going through my pockets, and there's this wee woman standing behind me. And I'm going through my pockets, and I'm thinking, what the fuck did I do with that tenner? And eventually, I found it in my trouser pocket. Right, I must have put it there briefly. Anyway, I goes, look, I'm sorry, I'm not quite Joe Biden, but I'm getting there. And without a word of the lie, the wee woman behind me goes, "Oh, don't say that. One of them's quite enough."
It's so true. But I mean,
Yeah.
I've had one conversation and overheard another conversation with British people this week who are genuinely terrified of Trump. One of them was a colleague, and he was like, I'm really worried that Trump is going to blow up the world. And I honestly didn't know what to say. I mean, I guess I
Oh,
could have said something like, "What do you think he's going to do in his second term in office that he didn't do in his first?"
yeah.
Or something like that. But honestly, their brains are so far gone that you just can't even.
Well, I tell you who's more likely to blow up the world: the
You fucking
UK.
Netanyahu. Well, yeah,
Yeah, the
exactly.
fucking UK. Because now, starting, is it starting tomorrow? Yeah, starting tomorrow. The UK is the secretary of the UN Security Council, or the chair, or whatever it is. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's just unfortunately the UN is making itself more irrelevant by the day, I'm
it's
afraid.
probably a good thing, to be fair.
And I mean, to be honest, we could go into a whole discussion about the UN Security Council, but I mean, for a country like India to not have a seat on the council, or Brazil, for
Mm-hmm.
example, which are massive countries, huge economies.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Britain and France are basically just tiddly squit little freaking. The only reason we're on the council is because we had nukes when the council was created.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we still have had a little bit of a semblance of an empire when the Security Council was created. But I mean, the UK's got no business being on the UN Security Council. I'm sorry to say, and frankly, neither does France. Um,
Unless we actually do rule America.
well, there's plenty of arguments along that line. I mean, we were talking a bit about that
Yeah,
last night. Cecil Rhodes scholarships. I mean, there's plenty of tentacles from the city which stretch into New York. I've seen that firsthand.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and at the top level of international finance, they kind of exist outside of countries. I mean, people like Bill Gates don't show passports when they go to other countries. I mean, he might have someone come on his private jet and ask him for a passport, but I doubt it.
yeah. I don't know.
Um,
I
and I mean,
mm,
it's just crazy. And the UN, especially with what's going on in Gaza, um, there's no country that has violated more UN General Assembly or Security Council
yeah,
resolutions in Israel.
yeah,
I mean, the only reason that they can do what they can do is because of the protection of the US.
yep,
And
yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
And it's just it's like a sacred cow, isn't it? You're just not allowed to touch it. You're not allowed to touch it. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to criticize it. You know, it's crazy. I mean, and the thing is, plenty of people do criticize it, but you know, you can't start on platforms, you know, or you'll end up
no.
off them.
Hmm.
It's bizarre.
Well, I mean, I've seen it happen over 30 years. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was writing to when I was 17. I got into a bit of an activist phase, and I was writing letters to the UN and Israeli embassy and all these sorts of people.
I can imagine writing letters to the Times signed Ed the Techie brackets
No, I
Mrs.
wasn't. I wasn't. No, back then, if you'd asked me what I
Oh,
wanted to
Ed the
do, I would.
activist. I was a
um,
communist, don't you know?
but it's not. I mean, my activist days didn't last long because that's not the sort of person I am. But the point that I'm trying to make
Yeah,
is that I've been watching
yeah,
this particular conflict, and I've been watching Russia and the way that the West treated Russia after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet Union, and the rape of Russia
mhm,
and the near destruction of their economy. And then you see someone like Putin come in who, yeah, he's an authoritarian.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but they
in
needed
the
that.
space, exactly. And the thing is that what people don't understand about Russians, and I didn't understand myself about Russians until not that long ago, is that there's something about the Russian character that respects the strong leader, the Ivan the Terrible, or Peter the Great, or Catherine the Great, or Vladimir Putin. And if you look at
She liked her
what
horses, didn't she?
oh, sure. But I mean, if you look at what Putin's done with, I'm not going to dignify that with a response. But if you look at what Putin's done with Russia, the Russian economy in the space of a generation, I mean that he clearly cares about his country.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, and we have leaders who don't give a single flying shit about
Oh,
their
they don't.
countries.
They don't. I mean, I've had a few arguments today with people who I suspect are communists. They say they're not. They say they're left. They say they're socialists. But I'll be honest, in my view, the way communism has kind of evolved and socialism has devolved, there's very little between them now. I mean, you look at China, and China was the paradigm of a communist country, but even China has its own billionaires and special zones and free trade areas, and there's always a little bit. I mean, yeah, there's state control, but we seem to be going that way here because they're talking. Well, look at Scotland; we've nationalised the railways and put the prices up, and I'm no doubt that Labour will think about doing it in England as well.
It's
And then
it's
what's the land grab for the farmers? Is that the state trying to take the means of production? Is it?
It seems a bit like it to me. Or they're trying to take the means of production and sell it to Bill Gates. I think it's quite suspicious that he's visiting the Prime Minister 2 days before the budget, and then suddenly the budget is very Bill Gates friendly. Because I mean, a lot of the investment that they're talking about is in stuff like this genomics nonsense and the mRNA clot shots and all this other stuff. I mean, that's all Bill Gates' wet dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like that thing that Kamala keeps saying, that unburdened by what has been. That was in.
Oh, fuck off!
Yeah, but that was in Marx's fucking book or something. I think it was Marx.
Yeah, and Marx
and it
bills
basically
were paid
meant
by the Rothschilds.
Yeah, but it basically means to do away with all the history that's previously gone, so nobody remembers it, and you start afresh on a clean slate. It's like wipe out what's been before, so as nobody can pull you up on the shit that you're going to go through now. It's a communist manifesto. Manifesto. My voice went there.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that the right-left paradigm is a load of constructed nonsense, basically intended to divide and rule and create an us and them within society. And it's worked beautifully for over 100 years.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things that, I mean, it frames the debate, which is the whole point of it, and actually it's a distraction from the fact that there's this upper class of rich parasitic scumbags that's essentially, it's that old meme where you put red ants and black ants in a jar and they'll be absolutely fine, and you shake the jar and then they'll start fighting because they think that they're being attacked by the other one, and it's not. It's the bastard outside shaking the jar. And that's basically what's going on in the world at the moment.
Yeah. Right. Meanwhile, the Democrats have been moaning. Well, the Democrats on Twitter have been moaning about the amount of money that Elon Musk is spending and donating and whatever to the Republicans, and there's the actual monetary expenditure. Yeah, I don't think the Democrats can moan about anybody. And you notice all the big companies like Raytheon and Boeing and all that are playing both sides.
Of course they are. They always do.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't you? You got to keep the options open.
Well, they're probably. I mean, General Motors won the contract to supply aircraft to the Luftwaffe.
Mhm.
At the same time, it was supplying aircraft to the U.S. Army,
Yeah, and
Army Air Corps, I think it was back then.
Standard Oil fueled the German military machine all
Sure.
throughout the war. I don't think it
Yeah.
ever gave up.
Well, Fanta was invented by the chief executive of the Coca-Cola company in Germany when they couldn't import the
Yeah.
Coca-Cola concentrate.
Yeah.
He used what he could get his hands on, and they created Fanta.
Yeah. Did you like my little video that I put up on Twitter today? I found that it was in the archives. I've been
Yes, I
looking for
did.
that for ages. Because
No, I thought, yeah.
Sorry.
No, I thought it was a good, quick little analysis of how we got to where we got to in Ukraine as of a couple of years ago.
Yeah, yeah. And I never ever did part 2 because that got struck. But anyway, because you couldn't speak about things like that on YouTube then. You can a little bit now, but I wouldn't risk it because it's too truthful.
Well, they're not. Yeah, I mean, they're not. The last thing they're interested in is truth. They have to keep the narrative going. I mean, this is where it's like all this. I don't know if one of your slides is North Korean soldiers, but
oh no, I don't have that because is it true?
well, clearly, I mean,
Is it true?
Of course not. Why?
Well,
why?
yeah. So why?
I mean, literally, the only reason I could think of. I mean, yes, the Russians and North Koreans have a defense agreement, and yes, their troops do have contact on the Russian-North Korean border, which is thousands of miles away from bloody Ukraine. And the North Koreans might be keen to get some actual hands-on experience with some of the weapons that the Russians have sold them. But the simple fact is that the Russians don't need the troops, because this whole notion that the Russians are short of manpower is absolute fucking nonsense. They've got nearly 1 million
Yeah, I know.
soldiers, and they're able to cycle their troops and rotate them and stuff like that. Plus, it's a pride thing. I mean, the Russians. Why would you want someone else to come and defend your country if you don't need them?
Yeah, exactly. And
I think it's a distraction. I mean, the reason that the Western media is going on about it endlessly is because the Ukrainian front lines in the Donbass are in the process of collapsing.
Oh yeah, they are.
Kursk is turning into a complete debacle, and they can't admit it, so they have to make up nonsense about North Korea coming in because the Russians are running low on troops and fighting with shovels. I mean, it's the same tired nonsense that we've been having to listen to from those idiots for the last 2 years.
Yeah, it is indeed. So John Swinney, the First Minister of Scotland, which is effectively a glorified mayoral position, I would say. You know,
He's like Mayor of Scotland.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and let's be honest, Scotland's not any. Well, certainly it's less population than London, I believe. What's the population of London?
Don't know.
I mean, Scotland's only like 5.5 million or something.
I'm pretty sure there's more than that in London.
Yeah, I think so too. So, so anyway, he's weighed in on the side of on the side of Camilla, right? Now, one, he's well outside his remit because he doesn't have a remit for any kind of foreign affairs, and this is what pisses me off about the SNP. They're spending all our money on these stupid, foreign missions. They've got unofficial embassies. They're always floating about going to America to promote tartan and stuff like this. They're not supposed to be doing anything out. They have no remit for foreign policy.
Well, I don't think. I mean, to me, the population of a country like you and me sitting here on a Friday night, discussing world politics and stuff like that—that's one thing. But for any politician of one country to be commenting on the internal democratic affairs of another country, I mean, that to me is just a no. That's just something you don't do. It's up for the American voters to decide who they want as president, and the rest of the world should stay the fuck out of it, regardless of what their opinions are. And I mean, okay, if you're just a private citizen, then you're free to voice an opinion. But if you hold any kind of position in government, you need to shut the fuck up.
So Donald has weighed in and said it's an insult because, as you know, Donald has a couple of resorts in Scotland, and to be fair, employs something like 600 or so Scots. You know, he didn't bring in Americans or Asians or whatever to fill the places. He actually employed local people to work in these resorts. So he's he thinks it's a bit of an insult. So Swinney's going to have. Well, it is, of course. And Swinney, if Donald wins, which I don't know if he will or not, but you know that's very much going to be in the swing of things. But if he wins, then Swinney's going to have some explaining to do, which would be a good thing because the guy's an arsehole.
Starmer. I mean, at the rate we're going, our politicians are going to piss Trump off so much that his first act of office once he's president is either to cut off diplomatic relations with the UK or fucking invade.
yeah.
Although, I mean, an American invasion of the United Kingdom would actually, I mean, I personally, I think I'd rather have Trump over Starmer.
Oh yeah, I think so. To be fair, yeah.
Although we'd have to have all of the crap in our food that the Americans have, so no, that's not such a good idea.
Yeah, but I don't eat any of that shit anyway, so that's fine. I'll just go carnivore and
yeah.
You know.
But it's still, I mean, jokes aside, we've still got politicians that are potentially alienating the future president of the United States.
Yeah.
And given what an absolute pathetic poodle this country's government is most of the time vis-a-vis the US, making an enemy of the US president is bloody stupid. So
yeah, thank you to the chat room for mentioning my T-shirt. I thought I'd put on something different for a change. Somebody asked what I'm drinking. The first one was a porn star martini, and this is, believe it or not, a raspberry blue martini, which is actually all right. It's probably full of super
raspberry blue numbers. Martini. Yeah. When are you going to have pronouns next?
Ew. That's twice I've been spanked this evening by you, Mr. Red.
Oh dear, what's the next slide?
The next slide is the Mexican Grand Prix last week. Because apparently the election results for Pennsylvania were shown during the Mexican Grand Prix. On ABC.
I wasn't watching the Grand Prix that I did see the
I wasn't watching ABC, but ABC mistakenly aired the election results for Pennsylvania, with Harris winning by 52%.
Is that the same as the BBC announcing the fall of the?
Yeah, I pretty much think so.
It went down.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me the whole thing's a setup without telling me the whole thing's a setup.
Well, there you go. That's a Lulu. I mean, see if that is the result. That will come back and bite them in the ass. Surely.
Yeah, I think if Kamala wins I think if she wins, there might be problems, and I think if Trump wins, there might be problems because regardless of who wins, one side is not going to accept it and claim that the other side cheated or whatever. I mean, it's a bit more difficult for the Democrats to accuse the Republicans of cheating, but I mean, they'll accuse them of something.
Oh yeah, Russian interference.
Oh yeah, no, it'll be Putin's fault as per usual.
Putin did it. Big boy did it and ran away argument. I love the way the Democrats use nothing but playground arguments. Have you noticed that? It's either, well, you know, the Tories did it, so we can do it, right? So that's the, two wrongs make a right argument. Don't make a right argument. Yeah? And then there's the Tories did that and we're having to fix it. So that's the big boy did it and ran away argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they take us back to the playground every time. Terrible.
Yeah, absolutely, because they don't want people they want everybody in camps tribalized, arguing amongst each other, so that they're distracting from the fact that it's basically one big club. We're not in it. and at the top, it's all deep state nonsense. I mean, if you just look at America, you've got a geriatric dementia patient that sniffs and bites babies.
Why do
And
people do that? Why do they do that? I mean, people actually do that. It's not just Biden. I have seen people. They do that with babies. They nuzzle them and
fucking weirdos.
yeah, but people do that with babies. Why do they do that? Bizarre.
I don't know. I've never had kids, so. But if I was a parent and some creepy weirdo was trying to do that
Started
to my,
biting your child's feet.
yeah, it wouldn't last long.
I remember we used to go down to Fruit and Veg Man who sold the odd sweet as well. When we stayed in Hong Kong, and he was an old Chinese guy. Strangely enough, but he was an old Chinese guy, and he used to sit there with all these whales spread out along him, beside him in the car park, taking up 2 or 3 spaces, and we'd go down and buy the odd thing, or your mum would send you down for something. And if you got too close, he would grab you, right, with thumb and forefinger like that, and he would jiggle your cheek and go, "Oh!" Why? Why would they do that?
I don't know. Maybe it's a Chinese thing.
It might be. I never found out. It's just weird.
No, people are.
I think that's the nearest I came to actual abuse as a child.
Apart from being dragged from Scotland, where it's all freezing cold, to Hong Kong, where
that wasn't too bad. It was getting dragged back in November that was worse. Yeah.
Oh,
right. Okay. So the next one's one of yours, mate. So tell us about this. Well, actually, be careful how you word this, though. don't.
Yeah, this one is apparently, as you can see on the slide from tomorrow, parents in Germany can choose. They've got a new gender self-identification law coming in Germany, which means that theoretically a German parent could change the gender of their child before the child's even got any say in the matter or even knows anything about gender. And I struggle with this one. I mean, adults are completely free to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
But children should just be left the hell alone. Children don't need to know anything about gender or sex or anything like that until puberty at the earliest.
I think you're right, and I think what we do is we tell them too much too young now, and just confuse them. Yeah. Because and I mean, when you start getting all those hormones pumping through you anyway as you go through puberty and all that, your brain's changing, everything's changing, your body's changing, and you don't have a clue what the hell's going on. And you've got to give yourself time to settle down, and that's why I think it's something mental. Like 99% of people who have expressed a desire to change, by the time they're 21, have rescinded that desire and are glad they never did it.
Well, it's the same as when you and I were young, back in the days before the internet and all of this nonsense. There were tomboys. There were girls that basically acted like boys, and they would run around with the boys, and they'd rough and tumble and fight and play football and everything else. And then you see them. I can think of one person that I knew from primary school who was very much like that. And now she's the most girliest of girls. She's married with kids, and she's a mum, and she's as far away from being a tomboy or anything else as you could get.
Yeah.
But these are phases that kids go through. I mean, there's boys that go through phases of wanting to dress up in girls' dresses and stuff. Doesn't mean that they're a girl. I mean, it's just, I think unfortunately a lot of this is actually parental mental illness and woke society, and also some sort of fashion thing. Because if you look at all these if you look at the number of Hollywood stars that have trans kids, it's like having a trans kid is the new fucking fashion accessory for bored rich women or something. I don't know.
Seems to be. It does.
And I mean, when we're talking about surgery and drugs that can effectively render someone incapable of having kids,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's gone too far, I think.
it really is.
Eh,
And to be honest,
yeah,
the most of my venom is reserved for the doctors and the psychologists who are actually pushing this stuff, and
yeah.
the doctors that will say, "Oh, if you don't affirm your child's gender, they're going to kill themselves," or some nonsense like that. I mean, and what's worse is the surgeons who will then cut healthy like bits off of healthy kids. Just no, no.
Yes, let's move on. Right.
It's let's
Yeah,
move on.
before we get
I'll end up
ourselves
getting
into
myself
bother.
into
Yeah. Let's move on. So apparently, right now we have to be careful here because that's while it's sub judice, we don't need to talk about anything that would we don't need to talk about anything that would prejudice
I
the
would.
case, right?
Well, what I would like to know is why the media insist on showing the picture of this
Oh,
individual
do you see this
as
slide
a
here?
school kid.
You see this slide here?
Hmm.
I fixed it.
Oh, you fixed it.
Look,
Oh, right.
I think that is completely out of fucking order because that's the
Yeah,
monster that did it,
yeah.
not that thing that looks like some kind of AI construct out of a Doctor Who. You know,
Mm.
that
And
is and that's him showing what I would say is a complete lack of remorse after he'd been captured.
yeah,
You know.
absolutely. And the fact that the media, it's just the propaganda is so blatant now.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that more people are not seeing through it.
So what gets me though is right, and this is the part where legally it's a bit bizarre because although he's been charged with two charges, which are terrorism charges, i.e., possessing a biological agent, a biological toxin, in this case, ricin, and I think it's a military study of a training manual for a terrorist organization. Um, so both of these crimes are offences under the Terrorism Act, but the police are refusing to label this as a terrorism offence.
Of course they're not, because then they'd have to go back and all of the people that, I mean, we had the Home Secretary saying, "Oh, it's got nothing to do with terrorism," and anyone who says it's got anything to do with terrorism is a right wing extremist, and we're going to arrest them and lock them up. And then
Never you mind where I got the photo, Harold. Just you carry on about your business.
and then it comes out that actually no, he did have connections to the nasty terrorists. And the government just plows on as if nothing's happened. I mean, I thought the Tories were bad, but this new lot just take the biscuit.
Yeah, because I mean, I said it as soon as this came out on Monday. I said she would have known, she would have known, and the Prime Minister would have known almost instantly that that guy had that material. As soon as the police were aware of it, they would have known. So there is no way that they didn't know when they were going through all the motions of telling people that the full weight of the law would fall upon them, for saying hurtful words on social media.
Well, that's why it's always smelled fishy to me.
Oh,
I think
it stinks, mate. It stinks.
It really stinks, and it's basically a control exercise. The new government's just come in, wants to stamp their authority. So, what better way to do that than essentially pick off a few people from their opposition, i.e., Tory councillor's wife, and just lock them up for a year or two.
Yeah.
And in one case now, it's resulted in one man hanging himself because he was being bullied in prison, and they put him in a bloody god awful prison.
And the thing that gets me, and Harold said hardly anyone is shocked. It's worse than that, Harold, right? Because when you actually speak to normies, they think the government's doing a good job here. They think they handled it well.
I've seen people saying that about the budget.
Yeah, well, yeah. And To be fair, I mean, the budget could have been a lot worse. I did think it could have been worse, but never. We'll go on to budget later if you want. But this case in particular, normal people seem to think that the government's done a good job here, stamped out this undesirable far right element. You know, they don't seem to understand that taking away little bits of your rights is still taking away your rights, and ultimately you end up, with no rights whatsoever.
Well, that's what happened with COVID.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd argue that the process of taking away rights has been going on since at least 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. And the ones that were cheering for these supposed right wing rioters being arrested, won't be quite so happy when they find themselves disagreeing with the government, and suddenly they're the ones being picked off for hate speech. Because one thing about totalitarian regimes is they always turn on their own in the end.
Well, yeah, they do. I mean, and all you need to do is look at history, and it shows us, doesn't it? Cambodia,
Absolutely.
Even China to a degree, and Russia, of course. Anyway, speaking of Russia, I thought this was quite a good meme. I'm not sure it's 100% right, and correct me if it isn't, but I quite like this. So 12 hours ago, Russia shuts down the gas pipeline to Poland and Bulgaria for refusing to pay in rubles. 10 hours ago, Poland agrees to pay for gas in rubles. 6 hours ago, Austria and Bulgaria agree to pay for gas in rubles. 5 hours ago, the European Commission authorises the European nations to pay for gas in rubles. Rubles is now apparently the currency for gas. I thought the ruble was going to be rubble.
Well, yeah, not really. I mean, this is the absurd thing, is they just need to stop with all the nonsense, turn the pipelines back on. I mean, because of the 2 Nord Stream pipelines, one of them is still functional and capable.
Yeah.
What was it, the number? I mean, it's trillions of cubic meters of gas that this pipeline can supply Europe.
Yep.
And we can do. The thing is that the Russians aren't interested in Europe. I mean, who the fuck would want to invade Poland and the Baltic republics? I mean, it's just those idiots are more hassle than they're worth as far as the Russians are concerned. And the thing is that with a bit of statesmanship and a bit of eating humble pie and a bit of negotiations and a bit of compromise, all the problems could be sorted out. And the other side wants to sort the problems out, and it's our side that's baying for war.
Yeah. And
even though we're not in any position to fight one, and we've exported all of our manufacturing to China, so we can't even produce military equipment, and yet we're the little warmongers. I mean, what the fuck?
I know. It's like that. It's like that bit about the gas and the coal in Ukraine. America didn't want Ukraine to trade with Russia, who is a next door neighbour who had all the coal. And Ukraine's full of coal, but it doesn't have the infrastructure to dig it up. But Russia had loads of coal and could just have brought it across in a lorry. But no. So Ukraine ends up importing coal from Pennsylvania and South America. So you travel halfway across the world to bring coal in to a country that is already coal rich and has a coal rich neighbour that you don't want to trade with. And then they buy Russian gas, but they don't buy it from Russia. They buy it from Poland or Austria. So the Russians and Poles, the Austrians and Poles get the gas from Russia and then sell it back to Ukraine, because Ukraine was never meant to be a provider. It was meant to be one of Europe's best customers, because they basically raped. Ukraine was a powerhouse. It produced 20% of everything that was produced in the Soviet Union. And yet they just tore it apart. And America brought it down and crippled it.
Absolutely. And now it's just going to be a failed agricultural rump state if they're lucky, and it will cease to exist if they're not lucky. And I don't mean
Yeah.
that the Russians are going to blow it up, but the Russians will just absorb it,
Yeah, it'll just become
possibly
another.
apart from the West, and they'll take the bits that they want that's got the Russian speakers in it, and then they'll say to the Romanians and the Hungarians and the Poles, you can have the rest. And I mean, they've got territorial disputes with the Ukrainians anyway.
Mhm.
And so it'd probably be more than happy to go in there and claim the territory, and Ukraine's not going to have any way of stopping them. And I mean, it's just we're watching an entire country being destroyed in slow motion.
Yeah, we are. Right, moving on. Mike Aylesbury and his little faux pas the last weekend when he took out one of his.
Oh, yeah.
So the question is, I don't even think he's been charged yet. And when you saw what he did, that was out of order. You know, the guy. It was a sucker punch. You know, the guy had his hands in his pockets, and this little short arse had to take a step forward to get the punch in. So it was nothing but pure aggression.
I mean, if this is the caliber of nasty thugs that we've got in government, I'm not surprised the country's in a ruin.
You've got to have thugs if you want to control the people, don't you?
Mm.
That's Stalin. Now, here's the next thing. Did you know that the Manchester airport thing's been settled? They've been to court and had their sentences.
What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they got suspended sentence.
Oh yeah, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, suspended sentence.
Honestly, the justice system in this country is a fucking joke.
Kept that one quiet, didn't they?
Of course they did. They don't want to cause more riots.
Yeah, the justice system in this country is two-tier. There is no doubt about it.
It's so blatantly obvious. It's just
and right. What's all this about, mate? Right. What is all this about? What's this penny off a pint shit?
Oh, this is the budget. This is we're gonna shag you up the bum, but take a penny off your pints. I mean, the budget is it's.
How
Twitter is now
How fucking thick do they think people are? Take a penny off a pint. A penny. I mean, fuck's sake, that's just ridiculous.
I mean, the whole budget is a catastrophe. The pound's in free fall.
Yeah.
The borrowing prices have gone up by more than they did when Liz Truss had her budget that ended up getting her canned as leader.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's resigning. And they've just engineered conditions such that family farms are basically done unless the farmers start creating trusts and registering things in the Cayman Islands and all this nonsense that rich people do.
I tried to explain that today. I mean, if people make themselves a company and transfer the assets to the company, then there won't be any inheritance tax when they die because the company keeps going. You just appoint a different director. People don't seem to understand that it's not hard. You know, you sell your. Do you have a company for yourself? No.
No.
No. So I had my own company because I was a contractor. So I had set up my own company, and all you do is you issue a share, and you sell yourself a share. You know, for your company, £1. There's my share. And the thing is, it's not a publicly traded share, so you set the price, right? So my shares were £1 each, and I had one, my wife had one, my son had one. So we had 3 shares in the company, and that was it. It's not rocket science, you know? And the thing is, the assets of that company don't belong to the people. They belong to the company. Therefore, when you die as a director, right, just your other directors just keep running the company, which is basically your family. So it's not hard.
Well, to be honest, I'm sure the farmers are going to get creative because they got no choice.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people out there giving good advice.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ways around these things, but it's just hassle and bullshit that nobody needs. I mean, the country should be supporting farmers, not trying to take land off them or forcing them to sell their produce to supermarkets at less than what it costs them to produce.
So why
and
do you
things
think?
like
Why do you think they've implemented this?
because they want control. It's all about control.
Yeah,
Everything they do ultimately boils down to control. And as Henry Kissinger said in the 1970s, if you control the food, you control the people. And you control the currency, you control the country, control the food, control the people.
yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. Is they want,
And the
as
people
we
are all
saw
on
in,
board with it. You know, all the normal
well,
people they're all on board with this because they think
sure,
farmers are rich, you know,
yeah,
have big fancy cars and tractors and all that, and spend all the time just plodding about fields at their leisure, you know, with their shotguns and saying get off my land and all this kind of stuff. So all the people think, yeah, in fact farmers, it's about time farmers were taxed. And you see the tweets and things, you know, oh, his land's worth 4.2 million. Of course he should pay tax on it. And it's like, okay, so when this guy dies and passes that land on to his son, who has been working that land probably for 30 or 40 years, right, suddenly has to find like £400,000 to pay the inheritance tax on land that his family own and have been working. There shouldn't be, if there's direct line of descent, you know, like if you're handing it down to your family, why should you have to pay tax on that?
Well, I mean, inheritance tax is just daylight robbery because you've paid tax on every bit of income that you've earned. You pay tax on most of the things that you buy, and then when you die, they want yet more tax from your
Yeah,
descendants. That the whole thing, and then what they do with it is waste it, piss it away on foreign aid and money
yeah.
for Ukraine,
And
and
then
22 billion on a stupid carbon capture when they could
oh
just plant some trees.
yeah, and then of course, so what your your family has to do is sell some of the land in order to pay the inheritance tax. But they got to sell more of the land than they actually want, because when they sell the land, they'll be hit with capital gains tax as well.
Yeah. And not just that, but then the reduced amount of acreage they've got
Yeah, exactly.
reduces the money that they can make.
Yeah, exactly.
And you
It's a
also then
land grab.
big developers and stuff that will swoop in and
Yeah,
turn it
build
into,
houses, right? Or
yeah.
solar farms, you know, or windmills or
And
something
the
like
whole
that.
notion of putting solar panels on farmland is just, I mean, it's up there with carbon capture as just another idiotic green idea that is just a massive scam.
I
It's
know.
just a con job.
I know. Put
It's
solar
just so that
panels
people
on.
like Dale Vince can get even more rich.
Oh, that guy creeps me out.
I don't like him at all.
No, he creeps me out. I
Don't
mean, he's
like
a
him
millionaire
at
as
all.
well. So why? I don't know why. I-
Well,
Yeah,
he's worse. He's a green billionaire because
yeah,
it's all about green electricity, which is not green most of the time, anyways.
yeah. Well,
Just
actually, I'm going to have to address a comment here by Britmate and the. He's saying, when's the next Carbon Chronicles coming out? Well, you know what, mate? Nobody was watching them, so it wasn't worth the time and effort, because we were getting something like 30 views, which is it just wasn't worthwhile. So unless we manage to find a formula or get more people watching stuff, then I'm sure Latimer would be keen to come back on and do it. But it wasn't worth his time, you know, to do something for 30 views. It's just quite disappointing. And the thing was, I was quite surprised because Latimer's got a big following on Twitter, but still nobody wanted to watch the videos. And we even put the videos on Twitter and nobody watched them there either, you know? 17
yeah,
views on a video, you know, that kind of thing.
yeah. I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
Strange.
Unless they're artificially suppressed.
Oh, that's entirely possible,
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Brit,
and
mate.
that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, yeah, I think they could be. Right, so, so what's this nonsense said? What about this one? Right, here we go. Create a CIA-style European spy service, von der Leyen is told.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
The
I saw
bloc,
this.
the bloc should greenlight a fully fledged intelligence cooperation service at the EU level, says former Finnish President Saulo Niinisto or whatever in a sweeping new report. What is it with these fucking Nordics? I mean, what is it with them? They're all nuts.
I honestly don't know. I mean,
I think they've
they're
been
just
sniffing something, or no, I know where it'll be. They've been drinking the reindeer piss. That's what they've been doing.
yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. There's so many generations of Russophobia, and they have all of their own issues. But I don't understand how, particularly places like Finland. I mean, Finland and the Baltics. It makes absolutely no sense for them to be as antagonistic towards their largest neighbor as they are. And the only reason that they are is because they think they've got the US backing them up.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those irritating little annoying guys that's got 2 or 3 big mates and he's in a pub spouting his mouth off. And as soon as he pisses someone off a bit too much to the point they want to punch him, he just runs behind his friends.
Yeah. That's exactly what they are. Yeah.
And I mean,
Quite
it's
pathetic.
mental. It's and it doesn't help anything. I mean, how are they going to improve the lives of the people in Finland by having a European spy agency that just ends up with, I mean,
They are. They are.
it's bonkers. We need less of that bullshit, not more.
So this is it's fucking Hyacinth Bouquet here, right? 8 years in policing and is now an interim chief constable. How the fuck? Because you know what? They don't rise through the ranks anymore. They go in with a guarantee that they're going to be like an inspector at 2 years service and all this kind of nonsense. So they're fast tracked. So they have no actual real experience of policing. So how the fuck are they meant to run a police service when they don't know how policing works? I think that is actually quite self-evident when you look at what's going on in the police services around the country. It's quite self-evident that the people that are running them have no idea how policing works.
Well, again, it's all about control. It's about the government using the police as a tool of enforcement, and focusing their attention on all of this woke nonsense and rainbows and all that bollocks. I mean, it's I just. I mean, but the state of the police is the same as the state of the judiciary.
Oh yeah,
and you look at all of these judges that are locking protesters up and letting paedophiles free. I mean,
yeah. So this was I think we touched on, or no, we didn't touch on this last week because you weren't here, but we would have, right? So black police officers in Smith County, Texas, steal residents' property, including iPhones and Ray-Bans while on duty, are too dumb to realise they recorded the whole thing on their own body cams. That's just, I mean, it says not beating the stereotypes. You know, the stereotypes are beating you, mate. They really are, aren't they? That's just ridiculous.
They're being battered by their own stereotypes. I mean, you just can't. I don't know what's worse, the fact that they were stealing or the fact that they were dumb enough to get recorded on their own body cams. I mean, and these are policemen, so they're both thieves and idiots in uniform.
Yeah,
being paid by taxpayers.
So this next one I think comes from Wales. In fact, I think it may have been Julie that actually sent or didn't send it, but posted this on Twitter. So I'll read it out tastefully. A healthcare support worker and student nurse who allegedly carried out bogus tests so that he could sexually touch the women. Prosecutor Matthew Roberts described Crump as being obsessed with bladder scans, adding, he wants to see them, and again, he is obsessed with vaginas. he will do anything to gain access under a medical pretext to a vagina.
Fuck.
Hospital
What the
worker
fuck
accused
is?
of sexually assaulting 2 women he examined at Grange Hospital. I think there might
I'm
be a
surprised.
lot
I
more
mean,
women than that, but that's just fucking unbelievable.
he's the sort that you can imagine him turning up for his first day of trial, and he's decided to self-identify as a woman, and he's got a wig on. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just it's that sort. But what the fuck is wrong with society that we actually have people that are getting their rocks off doing shit like that? I mean, it's. And then at the same time, the establishment want people to get ready to fight the Russians. Are they going to send people like that to fight Russians? Yeah, right.
I know. Right, next one's one of yours again. Here you go. Tell me about this. The head of the Russian space agency,
Oh, I love
Roscosmos,
this one. Yeah.
Roscosmos, there is no evidence that the US has ever landed on the moon. Everything was faked. Even the NASA donated moonstone in the Dutch National Museum turned out to be a fake. Petrified wood, I believe, that was identified as.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me about this. Do you think he's right?
Well,
Is this
if
disclosure? Is this the disclosure that we want?
well, if anyone would know whether the Americans did it or not, it would be the Russians,
Yeah.
frankly, and they would potentially have reasons for keeping it quiet.
Yeah.
Certainly at the time,
Because there's
the
a dead
United
Russian
States.
on the moon.
Oh yeah, yes, I know you're obsessed with your dead Russian on the moon, and there could well be a dead Russian on the moon, but we don't know that for sure.
Guarantee it.
And the thing is that when you piss a country off to the point that you're pretty much at war with them, they got nothing to lose. And let's be clear, this is one private individual talking. He's not talking on behalf of the Russian government. This is not the Russian government saying that the US didn't land any people on the moon.
Yeah.
And so we haven't seen any of his evidence. So this could well just be a Russian sense of humor type thing, joke. I don't know. But we did a whole show about the moon landings, and before I started the research for that show, I was convinced we went to the moon. And by the time I'd finished, I'm not convinced at all
I
anymore.
know.
And I think it would be, I mean, if the Russians, to my mind, if Putin really, really wants to fuck with America and he's got some sort of hard evidence
Yeah. He'll
that
let it out.
that the Americans never landed on the moon, now is the time, Vladimir Vladimirovich.
He probably doesn't want to see. He won't want to blow the dead Russian on the moon thing though, because
Well, the thing is that the Americans probably have similar doubt about the Russians. I don't know. I mean, great power politics and the sort of games that superpowers play with each other
Yeah.
Are crazy. But I would not be surprised. I mean, even just the simple fact of we're having such a problem going back there. Name me one other achievement in human history that wasn't followed up. I mean, it wasn't like Columbus got to America and then just said, "No, fuck this, boys, we're going home."
Yeah. We've never been back.
Yeah, and not just that, but one of the greatest achievements in human history, and the organization that pulled it off deleted all their records and just they lost it or
used the tapes because we needed to copy something onto them and we'd run out of tape. Yeah, so we just used.
But all of the blueprints, and I mean, it's like we're struggling to get back to the moon, and the big question is, why don't we do it the same way we did the first time?
Yeah, exactly. And we did it the first time apparently with one rocket, and now we're going to need to use something between 16 and 24 to get there.
Yeah,
which just beggars belief, doesn't it?
It's like build another Saturn V, stick the same crew modules and everything else on there, and just shoot it into the fucking sky. I mean, it's
Well,
not
yeah,
hard.
I
They
know.
did it in the 1960s. I mean,
Yeah, but with a Nazi in charge.
well,
Old Werner.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's strange that you should say that thing about research, because you do research and sometimes it shatters your illusions, doesn't it?
Mm.
Because last night I found out that the Y files lies to us.
What?
Yeah. I thought he was quite a straight up kind of dude, but I caught him in a blatant lie last night. A blatant lie.
What, on his show or on
Yeah,
Twitter?
on his show. On his show. In a video that he'd made. In fact, I was doing research on the aerial school stuff. And this guy, John Mack, who was a doctor, he's the psychologist that interviewed the kids. And he's a bit, I would say he's a bit ropey anyway. But he get killed in England in a hit and run. And AJ said, and the strange thing is, 3 other people called John Mack died in England that day. And that is not the case. There is no trace of anybody else called John Mack dying in September 2004 in England.
Well, maybe
None
AJ
whatsoever.
got that information from somewhere.
Well, if he did, then it's not in the public records. So that doesn't stack up, because deaths are a matter of public record.
Yeah, but in all the videos he's done, he's allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah, but that's a oh, hey,
Yeah,
you want to defend him, that's fine. That's a biggie, I would say. That's what I'm saying. It destroys your illusions. Yeah, we are. But it kind of destroys your illusions. I've left him a comment.
The White Files for Hecklefish anyway.
Sorry? Yeah, well, I've left him.
I'm only watching for Hecklefish.
I've left a comment on his video asking him if he's got a link to the information, because, you know. No, I think
that's an adult way to approach it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I haven't. I've only outed him here, which is only seen by 18 people, so we don't have a big issue yet. But yeah, Brett, mate, I disagree. I think John Mack was. Some of his scientific methods weren't terribly scientific. When he came to interviewing and things like that, and I'll go through it on the Cult of UFO, because I'm making a video on it. But he's not quite the above board scientific researcher that you'd think he was. And he did, you know, Harvard didn't like him because they felt that he was bringing, you know, the institution into a kind of state of disrepute because of his fascination on abduction cases. But apart from that, you know, they actually did investigate him, though, and ultimately they said that he was free to do what he liked. You know, he was he hadn't done anything wrong, so he was exonerated from that point of view. Well, hold on a minute, Britt, mate. Hold on, we're having a wee argument here now. He was a psychologist, not a scientist, right? Okay, so psychologists don't use a scientific method at all. Are you saying that they don't need to provide evidence? They don't need to do things in a proper manner? They don't need to approach things in a logical...
You've heard of the Tavistock Institute, right?
Well, yes, I have, but, you know, the thing is, then you're saying that if psychologists aren't scientists, then you can't give them any credibility when it comes to them presenting findings. Because, you know, you go one or the other, mate. One or the other, you know? You either give them credibility or you don't. And if you don't think they're scientists and they're not following a scientific method, then how can you give anything that they say credibility? Anyway.
Moving on. Swiftly
moving on. Right, hit and run driver spared jail over pedestrian death. Mohammed Rashid has been spared a prison sentence for killing 36-year-old James Risk in a hit and run in March 2022. He was driving at 41 mph in a 30 zone. Risk was thrown into the air and hit his head on a curb. Rashid sped off home without stopping, 2.5 miles away, collected his wife and then came back to the scene. What the hell did he come back to the scene for?
Well,
And
probably
why did
because
he?
his wife probably slapped him and said, "You better go back there. Or you're going to jail."
Yeah, I know. He
Maybe
didn't
maybe
go
she
and
speaks
collect his
better
wife.
English than him or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he didn't go and collect his wife. He panicked. That's what happened. And
Yeah,
went home, and she said, "Get a grip, mate. You're coming back." And then they
yeah.
called the police, I think. But anyway, it was a hit and run. So, but two to your policing, I get it. Two to your justice system
Yeah,
again. You know, I mean
absolutely.
that's a death by
I mean,
that's a death by reckless
that.
driving. Really.
Yeah, I mean that's arguably more harmful to society than whatever Lucy Connolly did.
Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely.
And that's
Right.
your experience as a policeman talking.
Mm-hmm. Uh, oh god, have you seen this one? Do you remember this one? Right. So, Brazilian priest tied himself to 1,000 helium balloons and disappeared for months. Right.
What the
And
fuck?
he was trying to break a record for charity, so he tied himself. He's sitting in a fucking chair, tied to 1,000 helium balloons. Right. Takes off and was meant to be blown inland for a certain distance, and then he would pop some of the balloons and come down and land, right? And that would be his world record. But no, he didn't do that, did he? The wind changed and took him out to sea. And despite extensive searches, they couldn't find them. And they found his body in the Atlantic Ocean months later. What a way
Well,
to
that's a
go,
Darwin
man!
Award,
Isn't it?
and
What a
that's.
way to go.
I mean, that's an awful way to die. Probably drowned. Um, I mean, just stupid. This is the thing. Okay, so stupid person dies. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's just I think he did the gene pool a favor. Sorry to say it.
I'm touched by your empathy.
Well, I mean, I'm normally a very empathetic person,
Yes, you are. You are. I know. I
but
know.
if you're gonna do something stupid like tie yourself to 1,000 helium balloons
And a chair.
and then and a chair with no method of steering yourself, no emergency beacon if you go off course. I mean, he could have had an emergency radio. There's some basic precautions he could have taken
Yeah.
that he didn't take, and he paid the price. And I mean, I feel bad for him and his loved ones. But
It's freaking
seriously,
nuts, isn't it? It's nuts. I mean, it's like the guy out of Up. That's what he
mm,
looks like.
yeah. I mean, just if you're gonna do, if you're gonna attempt a world record at something, at least prepare yourself by
Yeah.
understanding what impact a gust of wind is going to have on 1,000 fucking helium balloons. I mean,
Gunky
or at
Faggots.
least, I
Gunky
mean, at least
Faggots
start.
just said in the chat, he said a prayer in a very squeaky voice as he died. Oh my god, that's
dear.
wrong.
I thought my comment was bad.
Yeah, that is wrong, but it's so funny. Oh, right. Right, moving on. Here's a dodgy one. The first person to use a suicide pod in Switzerland was found with strangulation marks on her neck.
Fuck. So what is the suicide
What?
pod? Does it actually have these arms that come out of the pod and strangle you?
No, it's supposed to. I believe it. All it does is increase the amount of nitrogen in the atmosphere. So it basically sucks the oxygen out and you fall asleep. But you shouldn't need strangulation. Maybe after. Maybe she hadn't been left in it long enough. And when they opened it, the air would go in and she would maybe start to revive. And they thought, oh, well, maybe we better just make sure it worked.
It's not a very good suicide pod then.
It's not, mate.
But the fact, I mean, honestly, the fact that we've even got humans building something like a suicide pod, it's just an indictment of where society is at. It's an indictment of the medical system,
Uh-huh.
the social system, everything.
Well, look at Canada. Look at Canada.
Well,
That woman
well,
who was she was a veteran of the military, and she needed some help
stair
um,
lift.
to get. I think it was a
Yeah, she
ramp.
want.
She wanted a ramp or a stair lift or something. Yeah,
I think
she
it was.
did.
I think it was something big like a stair lift.
Yeah, okay. So she wanted a stair lift, and she phoned them up and tried to get it. And they said, "Well, we can't give you a stair lift, but have you considered assisted suicide?" What the
But it.
fuck?
But I mean, they're offering it to 20-year-olds who are depressed, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's just wrong. That's wrong.
I mean, it's like you're not going to try and solve anyone's problems or any of society's problems. You're just going to encourage your population to kill themselves, and
Yeah.
that's what they want to have happen here as well.
Well, yeah, because it's cheaper.
Much
I
cheaper.
don't. I don't think it's a depopulation agenda. I think it's just cheaper. You know, if they get rid of you, it's just cheaper. They don't have to pay for you anymore.
Well, I think the cheaper is the justification, and the depopulation agenda is the motivation.
I don't. I don't think there is a depopulation agenda. To be fair, I really don't. I don't think there's any need for it because anyone with half a sense knows there's going to be a population disaster the way things are going. I mean, and it's not unobvious, you know.
It's a demographic certainty because the
Exactly.
population needs to have. We need a replacement rate of 2.1 or higher, or
Mm.
you have a declining population. And there's almost nowhere in the world apart from India that has that sort of population
Yeah,
replacement rate.
and they're still having poop fights.
Uh,
See that?
Ew. Did
Yeah.
you have to? Yeah, no, I know. And
I
it's like
know.
it's normal for them to like poo out in the
Oh yeah,
open and
open
stuff.
defecation. Yeah, it's just gross. Absolutely gross.
The fuck?
Right. Anyway, moving on. This was a sketch of Tommy Robinson in the dock.
You what? Fuck off. Have they got a body double in that's gonna do the time for him?
It's like no, I mean it's like what's the point in having a sketch artist if they can't sketch people?
Well, she could obviously sketch a person, just not the person that
Yeah,
there's no likeness.
that's what I mean. There's no likeness. I thought it looked a bit
Especially
like
for
Gerard
someone like
Butler.
that who pretty much everybody knows what he looks like.
Exactly. So it just beggars belief, doesn't it?
Maybe the sketch writer was in the wrong court and didn't realise it. I don't know.
Oh, hold on a minute. What's Beast and Tapes in? The story that shocked me this week was the first person in the UK that got jailed for AI. Oh, right, AI. You know the Peter Files. That guy. So a guy got jailed for AI Peter Files. Anyone else see that? No, I didn't see that. How did he manage to get AI to make dodgy stuff like that? I thought it was quite heavily censored, is it not?
There's no way that any of the commercial systems, there's no way they produce any kind of pornography.
But mind you, see the open source ones that you would download and load in your own machine, are they censored?
I think the base models are, but I'm
So
not
you'd
entirely
need to
sure because I
hack it,
don't.
wouldn't you? Seems too
Yeah,
much
I
trouble to go
mean,
to.
I think you'd need some serious hardware to run it on as well.
Yeah, you probably would. Yeah. Right, anyway, moving on. Both Gary Lineker and Hope Not Hates Nick Lowe's claim they were bullied at school for being black. In your opinion, which one of them is more black?
Is it because I is black? I mean,
Really, come on, guys. Bloody hell.
well, they're two. I mean, they're
They're two white men.
well, yeah, they're also two of the most arguably despicable people in the country. I mean,
Yeah, yes, they are.
if I had to choose which was more despicable, probably Nick Lowell's.
Yeah.
Whereas Gary Lineker is just fake and cringy and
Oh,
fake,
yeah.
and he wasn't that good a footballer.
I think I've upset Brett, mate. I haven't seen him in the chat since I said that.
Oh, John, you should write a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Somebody posted a picture of their cat earlier. I said, "How did you come about? How did you acquire such an uncommonly ugly cat?"
Yeah, okay.
And she replied with, "That's like saying my child is ugly." And I was about to say, "Is your child ugly?" But then I thought, no, best not. But yeah. Somebody else replied saying, "I have no filter." That's probably correct.
You really don't. Even for a Scottish person, I mean, the Scottish are not known for their filters, but you have even less filters than your average Scot.
Oh, I try and what would you say? I've honed it to the point where I have no need for filtration.
Yeah, you do. You really do. You really fucking do sometimes.
Man uses shower gun after burglar, breaks in while he's in the shower.
I should buy a shower gun. I want a shower gun. I've never had anyone try and break in, but just the idea of having a shower gun really appeals to me.
I think everyone should have a shower gun.
I want to have a shower gun and a kitchen gun and an office gun and a car gun and a bedroom gun.
Yeah.
That's the way the world is going.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. A shower gun, that's tremendous.
Like the meme, though.
It's a good meme. I should buy a shower gun. Yes, you should. Right, we're on the funnies, as you can see. Next. Have you seen this? Did you see this? Even in Russia, things go wrong, mate. So, Moscow Telegram channels report that the sewage system in Moscow broke down. A fountain the height of a residential building is seen in one of Moscow's districts. Look at that.
That is a spectacular shower of shit.
Yeah. Imagine.
You know the thing about the Russian, what differentiates the Russians from the West is that Putin didn't automatically start accusing the West of causing a terrorist attack on the Moscow sewer.
It was a CIA shit up.
Well, I mean, but you know that if that had happened in London, the first people they would have blamed would have been the Russians.
Yeah. Imagine getting caught in that, though. Oh, my God.
Mate. Imagine you're just on your way to work, cycling on your bicycle, and suddenly you
well, if you're cycling on your bicycle, I would just laugh.
It would probably take weeks just to get the smell out.
Mm.
You'd have to burn everything that you were wearing.
Oh, yeah.
You'd probably have to burn your bicycle as well.
Shave all your hair off and everything.
Mm.
Yeah. Right. Next.
Cheers to that.
Fun facts about bacon. People who eat bacon have a lower chance of marrying a 9-year-old.
Yeah,
I thought that was quite funny as well. Right, next. Right. If we ever have a meet-up, I want one of these in the car park. Okay? So we ever have if we ever get enough what would you call it, audience or members or whatever, people that follow us, if we ever have enough to actually have a live show and a meetup, then I think we should have one of these in the car park. I think it's tremendous. You got to give it kudos, don't you? That's quite cool.
That's so wrong. That's so wrong.
I know, because there should be an orchestra at the top of
it. Oh dear! What the fuck is wrong with people?
Well, sometimes, mate, you just got to go with the flow, don't you?
No. I've seen that one before. I like that. That pretty much sums up 2024.
Yeah, 2024 has been a right shit show. Here we have Cliff Richard and Sue Barker, and Cliff Richard is showing us what size the hamster was. Took you a wee while, but you got there.
What? How is that relevant to what's happened in news in the week?
It's not relevant at all, but it's funny. You laughed.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Woman develops IQ of 220 after drinking sperm every day for a year. So a student from UCLA has just achieved the highest score in history on an IQ test designed by Mensa, and she claims her astonishing result is due to her daily ingestion. So there you go.
Are we talking human sperm?
I hope so.
But how?
No, don't ask how.
I have questions. God damn it! You can't put a slide up there like that without having some answers to my
It's
many
a family
questions.
show. We can only titillate. We can't actually go into the gory, graphic details.
Woman drinking freaking sperm every day for a year is not titillating. It's disgusting.
Well, nobody said she. Well, she did say she drank it, but you know she
And
ingested
was
it.
Fresh? Was it bottled? Did she go to a sperm bank?
No, you don't buy it. You don't buy it like at a bar unless you're in New Zealand. You know they do that in New Zealand. They do horse shots.
So it's basically she's been draining men dry, so she's some sort of semen vampire.
Well, probably her husband, to be fair.
Okay, well, I'm sure he's not complaining.
No, I don't think he is. Anyway, or maybe she's just going around the dorms.
I mean,
maybe I don't know. Maybe she just likes it, right? Is this a cruel and unnatural punishment?
Cool. Well, surely the cicada's dead now anyway.
Yeah, well, after somebody after somebody sellotaped it across its wings, that cicada is not going anywhere, is it?
No. But I mean, that's an astonishing level of vindictive spite.
I could get behind it though. You know, cicadas are quite annoying.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're like tiny ass little seagulls.
Yeah.
And they go off at night.
Right, here's the next one. Are you ready for this one? This is a cracker. I always told people I met Michael Jackson, but now that I found the picture, man, who the fuck was this?
It's definitely not Michael Jackson.
It's more like Michael Myers than Michael Jackson. That is a well dodgy looking guy.
Oh dear. Oh, that's burst a childhood bubble.
Yeah.
But it also it goes to show you what kids can be like.
Yeah, I know. That's it. That's it. There's only one slide left. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I can't think of anything that we haven't.
Well, I was going to talk about AI briefly, wasn't I?
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna have a rant about AI for a bit if you like.
It's not a rant about AI as such, but I have a concern about AI because all the people that are doing coding and things like that, like yourself, are using AI to help you along, right? The next generation is going to get to the point where all they're doing is writing prompts for the AI to generate the code, and they won't have any real knowledge of the code, will they? And then,
well, no, you have to have. I mean, unless it's sometime in the future, they create an AI big enough and sophisticated enough that it can actually handle.
Do you think they won't?
Code files?
You think they won't?
Well,
So the question is, how do you get innovation in the code if people start just getting AI to do these bits and this bit and that bit? Where do you start to get innovation?
Well, the whole point, I mean, if I'm thinking about my own day-to-day experiences, because as you say, I do use it extensively at work, it lets me focus on bigger problems. Because if someone comes to me with a question of can we do X, Y, and Z, before I'd be like, yeah, okay, I know that's technically possible because I've seen other people do it, but I have no idea how to do it. So I then spend, in some cases, days researching it, finding a piece of code that was a bit similar to what I wanted, adapting it, doing that whole process. But now, what used to take me 3-4 days sometimes
Hmm.
takes me half an hour,
Yeah.
and that frees up a massive time to think about other things. I can think about larger project structures. I can think about design related things. It's a time saver, and I
So
do.
you don't think it's going to dumb us all down and make things bland, i.e., just getting by, getting the right, things will be functional, but they won't have any flair. They won't have any innovation. They
Mm,
won't have any creativity.
well, no, because I think that yes, there will be a bit of that inevitably because that's people for you.
Hmm.
But I think the people who use AI in a, I'm hesitant to use the word better, but I'm going to use it for lack of a better word. Um, the whole point is that if you've got an AI to do the monkey work,
Uh,
when you have smaller teams, it kind of evens the scales because I mean I'm a team of one, and actually now I have a coding assistant that can just do monkey work for me,
yeah, yeah,
converting a function, refactoring a piece of code, something that would basically take me an hour. I now don't have to do. I just get the machine to do it, and
yeah.
that frees up my time for doing
Right
other things.
now, that's great. You and I are relatively old, right?
Mm,
We've gone through. We've been at the coal face. We've coded things from the ground up, right? We know how hard things can be and how difficult they can be. And I mean, we have spent time digging through books and internet files and things to find snippets of code or how to do this or how to do that. And we've spent all that time trying to figure out how to do these things, which is fine. And now we have, a machine that can basically do the donkey work for us, and allows us to free up our time on thinking of the higher levels, which is great.
hmm
What about young people that don't have that experience, that don't have that time at the coalface? Are they going to start? It's like,
But they're
well,
not even being taught that at school. This is something I've noticed in friends of mine who are
they're not been
10
taught
years.
coding.
Well, no, I'm not talking about coders. This is not just about coders,
Hmm.
but something happened to the education system after you and I were in it, where they somehow seem to have stopped teaching kids how to think. They teach them what to think,
Yeah,
but they're not teaching them how to think anymore. They're teaching them to ask someone else for the solution to their problem
yeah,
instead of
yeah.
figuring it out for themselves.
And this is the
Um,
problem. They're not teaching people how to think, are they?
no,
That
and
and
in
that's
that context, yes, I think there's a danger of maybe that happening. But given that they're not really thinking, if they have some extra thinking power, then hopefully the AI is going to get good enough that they'll make less fucking mistakes. I don't know. I mean, the simple fact is that the genie can't be put back in the
no, I
bottle.
know, I know.
Um, and I mean, I do. There's times it's like today. I actually forced myself to do a coding job that I was about to ask the machine to do, and I just thought, no, you're just being lazy. Come on, you can do this yourself. This is not. So yes, there is definitely an element of that.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I don't know. I can see positives and negatives,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
really.
What worries me more than us is people that are coming into the thing new and being, never having the experience of being able to do it for themselves and having to rely on the machine. And it's like, I suppose it's like, you know, when we grew up, you weren't allowed to use a calculator in exams and things like that because you had to be able to work it out in your head, and
Mm.
or you had to be able to write it down and show you're working and all that. I don't know if kids have to do that anymore because everybody has got a calculator in their pocket.
Sure, but I mean, if you look at how much the education system has been dumbed down in the last 100 years, if you
Yeah.
if you look at exam papers from at the like final school year
Hmm.
from 100 years ago, there are questions on there that university students today would have problems with,
Yeah.
and probably some university lecturers would have problems with as well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
It's
I mean,
hard.
it is, and I think
We
it's
are becoming
it's a tricky
Wally's.
one, because one of the things that I've found with the AI system is that I've actually learned things from it as well. I mean, it's taught me a couple of things about SQL queries that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
no, that's good.
so but it's like any tool. I mean, every time humans have invented something really big, they said this about the internet. I mean, I've been working on the internet for as long as there has been an internet,
Yeah.
pretty much. Well, World Wide Web, I'll say, because I started working on the web about 2 years after Tim Berners-Lee released it to the world, and I've seen it change in all those years.
Yeah.
And in the late 90s and early noughties, everyone was talking about the information superhighway, and I can remember sitting in on a meeting with a client in a big insurance company in London, and they said categorically, "We're not interested in the internet. This is never going to impact our business." Literally.
Wrong.
And they were actually one of the insurers that was last to go online, and they paid a price for it, massive price for it.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And the other thing about the internet when it first came out was that people were using it for everything. It was like, this is going to do this and that.
Yeah.
But over time, it stabilizes, and there are things you use it for and things you don't use it for.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway,
anything else?
now I can't think of anything.
Okay. So, you people out there, thank you for coming along tonight. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Got to get that in. And when I say subscribe, does your little button flash at the bottom of your screen? Because Ben tells me it does if you say subscribe. So the little subscribe button for you people viewing that haven't subscribed should be flashing. Anyway,
and make sure you hit the like button on the YouTube.
Smash that like.
No, don't smash it, because you might break something. Just tap it gently.
Yeah.
Gently but firmly.
That's what she said. So, pardon me, as you all tuck yourselves into bed tonight, and you know sometimes when you ever get that point when your feet get hot and you put them outside the covers? You know, you ever have that? No.
Yeah. I do.
So beware the toe-licking demon from 1921. So as you settle into your bed tonight, just beware, there may be a toe-licking demon who will come along. And it won't be your dog that's licking your toes, it will be the toe-licking demon. As always, it's been great for you.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. forces, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous. Can't wait to apply all those mathematicus. But we can't get a job that pays us enough. I'm about to pop up. Fuck you, you're lost. We all know that we never really want a boss. So I'ma do what I want to. Something I can't undo. Yeah, I'ma do what I want to. Something I can't undo.
I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy. Don't think I'll get home safe.
So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. No